Does the Rockville case expose the critical flaws of this country's immigration laws? We're joined now by Dan Stein. He's president of the Federation for American Immigration Reform. We're also joined by Alex Little, a criminal defense attorney and former assistant U.S. attorney. It's great to see you both.
Good evening.
So, Alex, the obvious question, which I just posed to the defense lawyer, is that this crime could have been prevented. Nobody really doubts that. If one of the men, and probably both, but one for sure at the center of this, had been deported as he was supposed to be. But the government didn't deport him, and now here we stand with a child claiming she was raped. This is inherently about immigration, and it's unenforcement in a law for political reasons.
No, Tucker, I fundamentally disagree. I mean, the chain of causation that you're laying out is so far attenuated. I mean, I had cases as a prosecutor where a defendant would say, I did this because I needed to pay for my mother's cancer treatment, and he committed a burglary or an armed robbery. Is that case about health care reform, about whether we're going to reform Obamacare? No. The individual committed a violent crime. And here, the causation is what happened in that bathroom.
But he wouldn't have been. He wasn't supposed to be here. Authorities fell down on the job. They didn't do what they were sworn to do, what they had sworn to do, because of political pressure. He wouldn't have been, I mean, we wouldn't be here at all. This is not attenuated. This is direct.
You know, I think if that's what this case is about, then I think we're focusing on the wrong thing. We have an individual who's a potential rape victim. She's not the only rape victim in this country, and I think it's important that we focus on all of them. I represent rape victims. I don't want to tell rape victims that one rape is more important or less important or part of a broader narrative because the race or national origin or immigration status.
Oh, stop. I'm not gonna, you know what? I'm not going to sit here for that. No one's attacking his race. That's ridiculous.
Well, no, but it's the immigration status.
I'm certainly not. I'm just saying, look, Dan, here's what separates this rape from a lot of rapes. And immigrants are not the only people who commit rape. I'm not suggesting that because it's not true. I'm really saying this is one that could have been prevented. That's all I'm saying.
Look, what's happening in Montgomery County is happening across the country, which is that parents, concerned citizens, are asking why. I mean, what has happened to the American mind? That we've seen a decline in the intellect, that we can't put together the pieces of a puzzle to figure out what are these guys doing here? Why are they in the same classroom or the same school with a 14-year-old girl when these guys are 17, 18? Why are they in the 9th grade? How did they get in through the border? Who actually created the environment that let this all happen? And of course, there's a chain of causation. 1982, Supreme Court, biggest federal mandate in history, Plyler versus Doe. Everybody here illegally has to go to public school. Then Senator Feinstein, Joe Biden, when he was in the Senate, so-called Wilberforce language that says a law designed to protect child traffickers from children from traffickers, is now being used by smugglers. And lo and behold, what we're now facing is a big battle between Donald Trump, who's trying to crack down, and many Republicans, and the Democratic Party and Democrat-controlled states and counties setting themselves at defiance to the Trump administration to say, not only are we going to promote the concept of illegal immigration, we're going to do what we can to obstruct justice. There's no reason that these two guys should have been in the country. They came in here illegally.
Well,
they were released. They never really had a hearing date for deportation because basically the Democrat Party position on this now is unless you commit a dangerous felony, you shouldn't be deported. Well, you know what that means? You're going to have people here illegally who are committing felonies who have no criminal record. Like, but
I would correct you there, though, and pose this question to Alex. I think that pro-immigration advocates would have more authority if they agreed with the president that if you commit a felony that you can be deported, and yet they argue against that. They're against the deportation of criminal aliens.
That's the law,
Why
Tucker.
is
that's absolutely the law. I mean, if you commit a felony, even if you're a green card holder, you can be deported.
Aware. What's the law? You're not supposed to be here illegally anyway. But when Trump says we're going to deport them, all of a sudden, you know, it's crystal knocked. Like, what is that? Why wouldn't they say, yeah, we don't want criminal aliens here?
No,
they don't say that.
I don't think people disagree about that. I think the question is where do you place the enforcement and where do you focus your priorities? And I think here we've seen some troubling signs that ICE is not focusing the priorities on dangerous criminals when they're setting up outside churches or outside hospitals or homeless shelters. The very disturbing case of a domestic violence victim who was taken into custody after reporting her abusive husband. And so when you have immigration authorities doing that, I think there's a real debate about whether that's the right approach or whether you do take folks who are violent felons, take them off the street and deport them.
Which basically, though, what people are saying is just don't enforce the law. So like, why not just change the law in Congress? That's kind of my question.
Because it's a bankrupt idea that you shouldn't be deported unless you commit an independent felony.
Right.
Because in the end, you're creating a swamp of illegal activity. And you don't really know the identity of somebody if they're here illegally. And all the Supreme Court said in 1982 was, if a child is here illegally, they ought to be enrolled in public school until they're deported. But that doesn't mean the school doesn't have a responsibility to verify residency or status. I know all about the Montgomery County school system, Tucker. They do not verify real identity. They don't care about the actual age of these guys. That's why they were in the school. And I mean, basically, Montgomery County is running a segregated school system. You look at performance, and you can see how people self-segregate within the school system. And Rockville used to be a great school, but now it's kind of declining because the Montgomery County politics are creating this. Anyway,
I know unfortunately we're out of time.
What we have to do is make sure we sustain Larry Hogan's veto, Governor Hogan's veto of the Trust Act. That's everything. What we're going to try to do at FAIR now is to stop that bill in the state assembly.
Dan, thank you. Alex, thanks.